Hello, everyone. I hope you guys have had a wonderful week. I hope you guys had a fantastic 4th of July and was able to spend time with family and those who you love. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I have a lot to unpack. Today, we will be talking about all the things. All right, I'm going to be looking over to my side because I have a whole agenda. So today we're going to talk about transitions. We're going to talk about me being a new entrepreneur. We're going to talk about steps that I've taken to get started. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that I've already faced. And then we're going to close it out with goals for next week. So if that sounds like something that you guys are interested in as I walk through this candle journey, please stay tuned. So let's get right into it. I think the first order of business is the transition. Transitioning this channel from focusing on finances to actually now starting a business has been a breath of fresh air, to be completely honest. I remember, just trying to come to the camera and talk about my bills and just without having a job, just how it made me feel so bothered or heavy because I didn't have an update. So I decided to start a business in hopes to see funds come in so that now I can start to pay off some of my bills. That's something that I stated before in my previous video. So that's what that transition looks like. It's been really interesting because there's two sides of me as I'm learning how to navigate and become a new business owner. One, I am the creative arm, right? So I'm all things just being creative, looking for how we want to lay out the business as it relates to what candles do we want to sell, what tiers do we want to offer it in, and then also me having to be the business side of things where I have to tell my creative side, girl, you better stop. You've created enough. Now it's time to put things into place so that we can move forward. So that has been a really interesting journey as an entrepreneur. And so I have to always cut off that creative gene and say, okay, now we need to have a timeline. It looks like you've already been able to create what you were envisioning. Now let's move on to the next step. So that's been the transition into a new business owner. So that's been a lot of fun. Next, just being an entrepreneur, waking up in the morning and just, having a mindset to come downstairs because, like, I have my whole downstairs for the candle business and just everything that's entailed with it. And it's been a lot of fun, me trying to build things out, me having my workstation, which I will show you in just a moment. Let me get through this point and then I will take you to a segue of my layout. All right, so I wanted to make sure that I had an understanding of what I was getting into. So here are some of the steps that I've taken to prepare myself to start the business. I did a lot of research because when you think about a candle, a lot of times you just think about, I'm just going to hold this as an example, just a vessel, right? You go to the store, you go to Bath and Body Works, you're getting a candle. And I wanted to do something a little bit more than just have a candle vase, which I think that's wonderful. I wanted to use my creative juices so that I could explore all things when it relates to candles. And I was able to see some really cool different concepts as it related to candles at a higher level, from a basic candle to as extraordinary as you want to get it. And so I wanted to make sure that I liked it, right? So I started doing these modes and I started, just playing around with different waxes and trying to understand how they performed. And in my research, I was able to kind of drill down to what wax I want to use, because that's very important. And then what wax to use for different concepts that I want to put together. So that is a very, very, very tedious task, depending on what you want to do, and especially with me wanting to be so creative in what I want to put together. Second, the vessels. So, and vessels basically are the containers that you have that houses the wax. So you go to Bath and Body Works, everyone has the same container, but I want it to be unique. I want it to be different. I want it to be set aside, and I wanted to give people luxury at affordable price. I decided to make the candle because in order to provide luxury, you have to make sure that your cost is low. I figured if I just make the candles, then that would cut down on costs. I mean, not the candles, the vessels, that would cut down on costs. So that's one thing that I was able to kind of zone in on. Also, fragrance. Fragrance is so important. I love candles, so I love various fragrances, and I know that there's a lot of people that love the fruity fragrances. A lot of people that like designer candle fragrances. I lean more towards the designer fragrances just because that's kind of my genre. That's what I like to do, and so I wanted to find suppliers that offered some of the designer fragrances so that I can put it into the candle. So that's a whole testing process. And don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna have like all the fruity things. I'll have a whole line of a lot. But I really wanted to focus in and make sure that I offered designer candles. So with that being said, this process is not just getting a vessel or making a vessel, pouring wax in with the fragrance, and then calling it good. No. When you start a candle business, there's something called patience, 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 patience. And which, when you're excited and you know I have that creative element, patience has been a thing that I'm learning to accept. And because I'm so excited to get the product out, but I'm very OCD, I want it to be perfected before I introduce it, I have allowed patience to rest with me. So when you make a candle and finally get to the place where you're testing it, you have to wait 2 weeks before you can actually light the candle. And then after you light the candle, it has to burn all the way through so that you can completely test it to make sure that all of the percentages of fragrance, of wax, everything works as it should. And I don't even want to get into the conversation of wicks because that's a whole nother thing. So there's certain types of wicks that you want to use with different candles to make sure that it burns evenly. Have you guys ever like purchased a candle and it burnt all the way down? It's about right here and it stopped, and then you're left with all that wax? Well, that has a lot to do with the wick. I want to make sure when you purchase my candle that it burns all the way down and it's clean, and that I'm using clean wax. So that takes a while to kind of get it where you've tested it and it's ready to go into production. All right. On the flip side of that, the vessel, the container that we're going to put the wax in, because I'm making it from concrete and, putting all the bells and whistles on it, that takes some time because you have to make the actual container and then you have to let it sit for 2 to 3 days so that it can dry out completely. Then you have to seal it and then do all the things that that you have to do, and that takes about 13 days. So you can see that this process takes some time, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so nice. It's going to be so elegant. When people receive my candles, I hope, my anticipation is for people to feel the love through that candle, for people to be able to see that candle and say, you know what? Whoever made this candle, they put a lot of love into it. They put a lot of time into it. And I'm proud to give it to someone as a gift. I'm proud to put it in my living room. I'm proud to put it in my bathroom. That's really what I want people to feel when they purchase these candles. So I'm doing all the work. I'm trying to make sure that it's going to be buttoned up. And I'm so excited and can't wait to share this with you. Now, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to segue so you guys can see my workstation. So as you can see, it looks like chaos, but it's really not. Made like little bears and little t-shirts and little bottles. I have a baby shower that's coming up, and I wanted to gift the person who is having the baby shower a candle. I have my fragrances here. Here are some of the flowers that I've created. Again, some more of those like baby shower things. And look at this little candle. That is so cute. All right, and then here's my safety items. There's my molds. Here's some of my waxes that I've been using. And then here's the eating plate. And this is an entry-level little tin. I actually got it in a whole kit. And then here's my testing station. So if I'm mixing fragrances, this is kind of where I do that. If you guys want to see that in detail, I can share what my mindset is on how I want to do the test. It's a really cool process. This right here, like I said, this basement has so many purposes. This right here are some of my vessels that I've been using for practice. Everything that I'm doing right now is just practice. And then here are some of the little vessels that I plan on giving to friends and family so that they can test out some of the products that I've made. This is where it all started, just so you know. I went to a candle place and created a candle, and it's simply get into it. So this right here was a nail area. I'm gonna have to move this because, as you can see, like the whole candle thing is gonna be chaotic. Here's some cement right here because I plan on making vessels, and I can go through how I plan to do that on a later video. So if you guys are interested in that, I would be more than happy to share that with you. Excuse the house, it's rough. All right, so this was the first candle that I did. I'm so proud of this candle. I honestly don't know if I plan to burn it. It was my first. So because it was my first, I may just keep it. Here's the next candle. This candle is so cute. I don't know if you guys can see, if you can see it. It's so pretty. Like it is, you see the little, oh, I see the ash. Y'all don't pay no attention to that. But you see the bottle. Look at the baby. You see the duck, the t-shirt, the little bear. I was very proud of that one. Here's another one. This was my first drink candle. I was really proud of it, but one thing I was gonna do something different with it, and then at the last minute I decided to actually put ice cubes in the top of it. And this is not really ice cubes, this is like wax, but I decided to make it a drink candle because I was gonna make it a flower candle, and you'll see that in just a second. So once my daughter saw it, she wanted the same candle. I don't feel like I did like an amazing job on this one. As you look at the bottom, it looks crazy, and I don't know why. So I'll have to figure that out. Like I said, I'm still testing, so I'm just playing with thoughts, and I'm just trying to see what makes sense to me. One thing that I did learn is if I'm gonna do a candle and I'm gonna have two different colors, I need to be ready for the second color at the same time. What I did was I poured this one, and then I poured the second one, and it took too long. So that's why you see like straight lines. You don't see it merged into the other color. Here is a beauty. She is like stunning. Hold on, she's heavy, so I gotta be very careful. But as you can see, I have the roses, and this smells so good. And what I plan to do is do designer fragrances. Oh, I gotta be careful because that was heavy. To do designer fragrances in all of the candles. I may do some like fruity fragrances, but I really like designer fragrances. So that's what I may do, but it all depends on what people want, right? If people want something different, I'll do something different. But as you can see, here's another candle. I saw this online, so that's what inspired me to do these type of candles. I want to be honest, like it didn't come out of my head and I was like, oh, let me do this. But no, I had seen some of this online and wanted to imitate what I've seen. So that's what I've done thus far. I hope you've enjoyed what I've put together. Right. So now that you guys have seen my workstation, you kind of know, kind of see how I'm putting things together. There's so much more to come, where you guys will be able to see more, because I purchased a lot since the last time that I did the video, but I wanted to cut this in 2 videos so that it's not too long. I hope that you guys enjoyed that, and I hope that you guys are along for the ride. Now, this week, I will be focusing on finishing the layout, and then try to take you guys with me so you can see how I make the vessels and how I do all the things. I've called my basement the lab. On the next video, you guys will be able to experience that and walk alongside with me as I journey to create the masterpiece that I hope to share with everyone. Well, until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any advice as a business owner, any advice, anything candle related or budget related, please leave it down in the comment section. I would love to continue this conversation with you guys. Thanks. Bye.